Greetings in the name of Yahuwah and His Son Yahushua Mashiach. My name is Malak Shalomo. Today is the 27th of July 2024. It's 7:40 p.m. Eastern Time. And right now I'm in a live trade on Bitcoin. It's actually a paper trade, so just practicing my strategies using Bitcoin as it's a 24/7 market. So let's start off from the daily chart. Let's do a little top-down analysis and see where we're at. So this right here is like a bull flag, but within the Wyckoff theory, I'm looking to see whether it's a distribution or reaccumulation, right? So let me just pull out the arrows here a little bit. Right, so we had up here, that's the uptrust after distribution, because this is within a bigger distribution, right? So just from this transactions right here, this price action, I'm gonna try and determine whether we're gonna get like a reaccumulation or is this distribution, right? So we had the uptrust after distribution here. Let's see, down here we have the break of the structure right here. This is, I just labeled this breakdown of distribution structure, right? So when we come down to these levels, we're not actually breaking down these levels, right? So that would suggest that this right here could be a potential like a spring or a shakeout, right? So I still really don't think that Bitcoin is going to shoot off from here. I think we're going to pull back some more. So that's my bias, right? So this going against my bias could be a spring or a shakeout, and we could get further buying straight to break out from these levels, like the uptrust after distribution. That's around 73,855.12. So basically, I'm thinking this is more of a distribution structure, but no real evidence to back that up right now. It's just basically in a bull flag, so the buyer should be bullish, right? But I'm seeing some rejections at key levels right now. So after we got this spring, this shakeout right here, right? We're pushing back up. Hold on. All right, so I'm gonna open this area here a little bit. So we're coming up to, I'm gonna throw on the Camarilla pivots, right? So this is the Camarilla R4, which is at 7126. You can see it right there, 7126.13. And this is Camarilla. This is the monthly Camarillas, by the way. So this is Camarilla R3. That's at 66397.19, right? So we had like a little breakout of it. We pushed, we lost it, then we pushed back above, right? Now on today's price action, we're getting something like a doji where we're kind of rejecting off of this monthly POC level. So let me just point that out. Gonna have to open this up a little bit. Right, so we have a POC level here from the market profile at 69,264.32. So we basically pushed above that a little bit and started rejecting off of that level, right? So this is also like on a bigger time frame. This is the uptrust weekly, right? So this is the uptrust level here at 69,000, sorry. So basically right now we're in between these two resistance levels of monthly Camarilla R3, 66397.19, and Camarilla R4 at 7126.13. Right, so right now I'm looking at this as a rejection of the POC, and we could probably get back down to this value area low on the monthly around 64199.84, right? So that's support right now, that's immediate support. So another immediate support would be Camarilla R4 on the monthly. So if it comes down to this level, we want to see how it reacts, if we're going to lose it again or if we're going to bounce off that level to continue bullish. All right, so let me just throw on some of the monthly VWAPs here. Right, so this level here, that's the monthly +2 VWAP, right? So it's the second VWAP upper deviation, right? So it's coinciding kind of with Camarilla R4, and it's above this POC level here, this blue line right here, right? So it's providing resistance. It provided resistance before. Every time it interacted with price action basically pulled back from it. The biggest pullback was here on the 22nd, I believe. Yeah, the 22nd, we had this big pullback after we tested it, right? So pull back to the monthly first upper deviation here, which is this red line right here. So that provided somewhat of support. We had buyers right there. We had that push down below value area low, but we pushed back above that level, right? So on the daily chart, I would say that's basically where right now we're just in between Camarilla R3 and R4, R4, R3, and we're between first and second upper deviation, right? So I'm thinking we're definitely getting a little resistance from this again, right? So let's see, going down to the 1 hour chart where I have these weekly levels. All right, same thing on the 1 hour chart. Still, these monthly levels are in play. The weekly VWAP V2, V plus 2, or the upper first, second upper deviation, right? That's conducting resistance here as well, right? So we're getting this resistance here from these anchored from the beginning of last week, right? Sunday. So this second upper deviation here is creating resistance as well. So it's coinciding with the monthly. We had this push down here to VWAP. This is weekly VWAP. We had strong buyers coming in there, although it's selling volume. Basically, it's more buying volume because this week here is buyers coming back up. So then we had this nice little engulfing candle here from the buyers, but very low volume, right? So that's one of the things I was looking at to get into this trade, because the buying response is basically looking like maybe short squeeze. It's not real buyers. It's not real buying volume coming out here. That's really shallow buying volume. So that's one of the things I was looking at, and we're coming back down now to first upper deviation, or +2, +1 on the VWAP from the anchored from the previous Sunday. So that's weekly VWAPs right there. We're coming down to that. That's at 67,995.63 right here. All right, so let me just point that out. All right, that's the level right there. Right, so we're coming and we're getting a little bit of buying right there. Right, so let's go down to the daily chart and see what that's looking like. So this was the 1 hour chart. This is where I have like my weekly levels. So let's go to the daily chart right now, the 5-minute chart. Sorry, not daily chart. I gotta make sure I say these things properly, because to me this is my daily chart. You know what I mean? Like 5 minute. When I say daily chart, that's like bigger time frame. But on the 5-minute chart, let's just take a look at what has happened here. So since the ETH, we moved sideways. We had this buying coming in here. Let's say we broke out around 8 o'clock this morning. Came up to the POC, monthly POC, started to reject. That's also the third upper deviation, broke down from the second upper deviation. Let me just point that out. That orange copper line, third upper deviation, dark red line, second upper deviation, and red line right there, that's first upper deviation. So we broke through after we resisted the POC on the monthly, and the third upper deviation, we sailed back down to basically VWAP, right? So when we came back to VWAP, we had a little push back up to the first upper deviation, and we had this big sell-off, what this sell-off is, I really couldn't tell, man. Like this is a surprise sell to me. I was expecting it to sell off, but not this parabolic, you know what I'm saying? So that's why it's given the vibe of like a shakeout, right? But even though it gave the vibe of like a spring or a shakeout, there was no continuation, right? So we came back up here to this second upper deviation, just below the monthly POC, that blue line, right? Rejected here off of this second upper deviation and started breaking down, right? So I took my trade here, right here, right? So that's my entry right there. And right now, we're just cruising above Vwap. And I think we're going to break down Vwap soon, but there's probably some buyers coming in there. But I'm going to go over to Bookmap now and we're going to just take a look at the order flow around Vwap. Now, on Bookmap, this might be plus V1 and this might be Vwap. It's kind of a little different on Bookmap, the way the anchored Vwaps kind of plot themselves. But I think I trust both of them because this is Anna Cooling's anchored Vwaps, and I do trust her analysis and stuff like that and the way she puts her stuff together. So I basically use the both of them. You know what I'm saying? Let's see here. What's this? What's this? This is from, this should be good to go. I don't know why it's messed up. That's the anchored VWAP from 9:30. So I'm just trying to see why this is not showing. Let me just do a refresh. All right, so it's plotted again. Good. So let's see if I can put on these cameras and pivots. I know it's a lot on my chart, but let me just break down what's going on and the levels I'm looking at. Let's take all the volume profile. And I want to just show something here with the camera levels, right? This is how we determine what kind of thesis or bias the cameras are giving us, right? So basically, this is Camarilla S3 right here. Camarilla S3 is moving up from the prior day and moved up above prior day's Camarilla R3, right? So that's giving it higher value relationship. As the Camarilla R3 moves up, the Camarilla S3 has moved up above prior day's Camarilla R3. So that's a higher value relationship. So within that, we're looking for buys around this area, and this is a golden pivot zone where you see that blue line. That's the central pivot, floor pivot, right? So that's the central pivot. So when these two are together, it's a golden pivot zone because it's two different sets of pivots kind of correlating around the same area, right? So giving that area more what could I say? Giving it more of a strong bias to getting support there, right? Because when we came down here, we didn't exactly hit it and bounce off, but we came down to the just below the central pivot range. This is BC, bottom central pivot at 66961.13. So we got the buyers coming in there, push back above this golden pivot zone, right? And usually in a shakeout, you do get breaks of support, right? So this was basically a golden pivot zone support. We shake below that. This is Camarilla S4. Didn't get to that, so that's another support area. And we got the buyers coming back in, right? Now, if you look at this here, what's telling is that there's a lot of sellers too within this little shakeout, right? So the buyers came back in, no volume, right? No volume, big sellers, with a big wick to the top side. Let me just make sure I'm pointing this out. So that's the sellers right there. Heavy volume. In the buying response, it is a big squeeze, but no volume, right? So all of these things are building a case for it for selling to continue, right? So let's see. We came back up here. This is Camaria R4, right? At 68, 61462. We pushed above it, got to floor pivot R1. This is after the shakeout, right? Let me just make sure I'm pointing that out. Right, so after the shakeouts here, got support below above Camaria S4, bottom central pivot, golden pivot zone, bias coming in, but it's more like a squeeze. Came up here to floor pivot R3, Camaria R3, got some rejection. This is also first upper deviation on the Vwap. See there is providing some resistance. Price eventually broke through, got up to floor pivot R1 and poked above just below monthly POC, right? So we started to move sideways from there. And this is where I entered my short trade here on the rejection of second upper deviation, which is this line right here. Second upper deviation, you see the rejection right there. We're selling off, low volume pullback, big sellers again, right? Low volume pullback, more selling, retest, couldn't break above the highs of floor R1, couldn't break above floor R1, and just continue to cascade. Now we're breaking down from Vwap here as well. So this is basically, I call this, it's a black sun strategy. Let me just put this here. I like to label these stuff so I can see it on the chart. Black sun strategy. Right. All right, and I'm gonna put that in put the border in the same color as the second upper deviation. Right, so that's, let's see, visibility only on a minute because it started from the minute, right? So that's why I'm labeling that as, that's my black sun strategy. When you come up into plus V1 and plus V2 anchored VWAPs or VWAPs in like a uptrend, right? But we got that shakeout and we're coming from the top. But this is actually like when you're uptrending and you get weak or exhaustion on the ask, or buyers are getting exhausted. That's when you look out for this strategy. And this is these are the key things to look for as well. We're looking at the buying volume coming up to these levels, right? So we're coming up to these levels with weak buying. Right, you can see here there's weak buying, right? This is a telltale sign as well. There's strong sellers, even though we came up here, strong sellers on this big wick, and no volume on this big buying response, which is just a short squeeze. So there's no initiative buyers taking this up here that could actually push through these levels. So it's just like the context leading up to the trade, you know? And we lost VWAP here. The volume still isn't that strong. We got some buyers. This is overnight VPOC. Let me turn on the volume profile. Right, so that's still VPOC from the overnight session. It's still VPOC. Right now we're going into a new session at 8. So selling is immediately coming in, but could see some buyers come in here at the beginning of the session. Right, so VWAPs, they reset. Everything is kind of reset there. We're looking like we're getting Camaria R3 is moving up a little bit, and Camaria S3 is moving down. So that's the outside value relationship, right? So that leads to like a lot of range play, a lot of ranging in between these levels. Right, so Camaria S3 moved down and Camaria R3 moved up. So that's an outside value relationship. we got the central pivot range. They came out here, and they're basically higher than the previous central pivot range. That was top central, that was the central, that was bottom central, right? This one right here. And now they're, let me see if I could open that a little bit. So you could kind of see the labels there. This is the central pivot, top central, and I think the bottom central is somewhere up here, or maybe down here, right? So the central pivot range right here is, let me just, so that's the central pivot range right there, and it's higher than the previous range, and also narrower. So we're looking for like a break away from this central pivot range to give like a bias of direction. Because if it's in a higher value relationship, then that means that if it rejects it aggressively, that the selling will continue. So we're actually seeing the selling continue here. We're getting a rejection. We open below the central pivot range. And I believe this is the top central right here, but it's a little, it just came out, so other stuff is blocking it right there, but I believe that's the bottom central as well. So we're opening below the central pivot range, and it's in a higher value relationship, so that's rejecting that. So when you get rejections of these theses, you get some nice moves, right? So let's see. Let's switch over now to Bookmap. Take a look at how this transpired on Bookmap. So this is my entry right here, right? So that was the breakdown, and this is plus V1, right? And remember, I was telling you it's a little different on the trade and view chart compared to Bookmap. So this is plus V1 breakdown, and on this chart, it's plus V2 rejection, right? Because this is plus, let me show you here. That's plus V2, that's plus V1. I'm taking the rejection and the breakdown of V2, entering here, right? At floor pivot R1, the breakdown of floor pivot R1, we headed down to plus V1, right? Now, if you go over here to Bookmap, it's a little different where this is plus V1 and I'm getting the breakdown of plus V1, but it's in the same space I'm taking the trade, right? It's just that these get plotted a little different on Bookmap. Right, so let's see here. Should I pull this all the way out? Right, so you can see the shake here with the spring of the shakeouts here on Bookmap. That actually got down to minus 2 Vwap, right? So minus 2 Vwap came down here, got support. See the buyers took it back up to Vwap. That's Vwap right there, right? That purple line. That yellow line is also Vwap anchored from 9:30 this morning, which is anchored to basically the RTH opens on the weeks during the week. So I have a Vwap that's anchored from there as well. So got back up to Vwap, held above minus V1, pushed back above Vwap, ran into this liquidity here, right? I took a short here earlier, got stopped out here because the buying it just continued, you know. So let's see here. So we broke out of Vwap. And this is the trade right here. So I want to show what it did like when it break out from plus 1 Vwap right? So this is +1 VWAP right here. So when we broke out, we have all these green dots here signify aggressive buyers, right? So it's aggressive buying, but we don't have stops and icebergs on this chart. So it's not showing if it's a stop run or not, but it's showing aggressive buyers. So with it being aggressive buyers, if it was really aggressive buyers, they're supposed to take it beyond this liquidity level. They started to fail here, no more buyers coming in, moving sideways, even pulling back to this structure here where they broke out first and retested. So it pulled back to that level right there at 68,842, came back down, tested this, basically tested this +1 VWAP level. This is where we're supposed to find buyers, right? Had a little buying coming in, nothing to talk about. Maybe these guys here were a little serious. They should have took this up back up to this liquidity. They didn't. Started to see selling coming in, sellers, sellers, sellers. And then we have liquidity coming in the book to press down on price on the ask, right? So these guys are taking short positions and they're pressing down on price. So these liquidity levels here are on the ask and they're pressing down on price. No buyers to push through these levels. This guy tried to push through, he didn't get through. So we broke down below +1 VWAP for a little bit. Buyers came back in. So it's still looking good on the buy side. Buyers might take this back up. Right? We still have buyers coming in. They're not coming back up to this liquidity level though. Where is it? Let's see if these guys pulled it away. Right, so this liquidity level here, they started to pull because I guess they didn't expect buyers to come back up to this level. I guess they were selling enough that they knew it wasn't needed. We had this break of liquidity here from the sellers, big sellers coming in here at 68,793. And that's when we broke down a little bit. And this is the retest above here. So let me just, so within the structure here, we're getting buyers trying to push it back up from break it down below this +V1, right? We have buyers trying to take it back up in these areas. And then we have the seller coming here, break down VWAP with aggressive selling, right? Now, when he came down to this area here, I'm looking for the response. Exhaustion of the buyers up here, right? That's what I'm looking for the breakdown here of +V1 to take the short. So let's see here. Open this up. Right, so you can see here, there's exhaustion on the ask, right? Exhaustion, that's the red, that's the ask right there. Exhaustion, very little buyers on the ask. And now we got this last buyer right here before it started to sell off. And then let's see here. Let me take this off, open this up a little bit. Right, so we had that little pop up here. This buyer didn't get to the ask. Sellers started to take control. Sellers are hitting the bid now. That's that green line. See, sellers are hitting the bid. Sellers are actually up on the current price. They're getting executed at current price, which is the white line. So you see in between these is white lines. So that's the last traded price. So they're getting hit at market level. And there's some buyers on the bid here. They took this up. Sellers on the ask, right? That's not good for the buyers. Sellers taking it back down. And that's when I enter these trades right here, right? So that's my entry. Sellers coming in, we break it down. And as you can see, that's a lower high from this, right? So these are lower highs forming here. breakdown of structure, take that short, and let's see where we're at right now. So we're back up at Vwap, right? So let's see here on. So if we switch over to the chart, you can see here it's bouncing off of this prior golden pivot zone, and I could probably do some trade management here. And wait, I already got stopped out, man. Damn. All right, so I guess it took profit right there. Yeah, that was my take profit at the central pivot range here, just above it. So I actually took profit right there. All right, so I didn't close this one over here on Bookmap. So let me go back over here. Right, and this pushing above here, I'm gonna just flatten this. Right, so that was basically the trade right there. You know, you can see it probably better on this here is a breakdown of floor pivot R1, a rejection of V2 Vwap, V plus 2 Vwap, this breakdown right here, this rejection of this area right here. Took the short here, breakdown of floor pivot R1, and we sailed down to Vwap. At the open here, we got that push down, and it hit my target right here. My target was at this golden pivot zone. So we just hit my target there. And then I just closed on the Bookmap trade here. I just closed around this level right here. And let's see if we could close that up to see that trade. Let's see, 60 minutes. Right, so that's the entry right here. Right, the breakdown of plus V1. Got the selling through Vwap and close my trade here at plus minus V1. Right, so just above there, minus V1, stopped out right there. So I'm just working on, practicing on these Vwap strategies along with these Camarilla pivots and floor pivots. So this was an example of the Black Sun strategy, as I labeled over here. Right, so it's either rejection or a poke above and breakdown of like V2, V plus 2, or V plus 1. So that's V plus 1, that's V plus 2. And you're looking for criteria building into that, looking for like, low volume buying, low volume buying around here. We're coming into here and we could expect at these levels here and also floor pivot R1 and Camarilla R3. These are resistance levels. So that line right there, that's floor pivot R1, that's Camarilla R3. So you can see in between here, had that little back and forth in between this resistance level, and eventually we got sellers breaking that down, right? Then we came to Vwap, broke that down, came back to this golden pivot zone, the central pivot. That's where I had my take profit, and we took profit right there, exactly just above it, right? So you can see, as you can see here, prices come in exactly to the central pivot range, right? That blue line right there. So that's why I kind of front run it just above there. That's where I put my take profit. So that's the central pivot. You can see prices coming back right to the central pivot. Now what I could look for here is another kind of Black Sun strategy, but I would wait for it to come up to, retrace a little more. So these are the new VWAPs now. This is V2, that's V1, and you can see we're getting these rejections off of V1 right here, right? Not even get into V2. So this could be a early setup, but within the market just opening, then you want to kind of give it a little room to do what it does, you know what I'm saying? Because you could easily get a squeeze here from all the selling that came in. You could easily get a squeeze back up this area. But it's looking good for a nice little quick little short, you know what I'm saying? Let me see. Like if I take a trade here, put my stop loss above here, and let's see, we try to target Camarilla S3. And I'm gonna take the same trade here on Bookmap. Let's see, where's my stop? 67,755.94. 67,795.94. Right, I just got stopped out on this trade while I'm trying to adjust this and really this trade should go, the stop loss should be above this liquidity right here. So just adjusted my stop above that liquidity. I'm gonna re-enter that trade right now and put my stop at 67,815. All right, so if it does come back and stop me out, just giving an example of, let's see here, open this up a little bit. Oh, let me make sure my VWAPs are reset. You have to do this 27th. All right, these VWAPs have to reset a little bit, so let me just give it a little time. Because I think this VWAP is gonna move down a little bit. Or it could actually be in the right place. Just V1 is, where is V1? No, they haven't plotted yet. It's still saying updating indicators, so let me give it a second. Right, so the stop here is at 67,818. So let me make that adjustment here on Trading View. 67,818. We do have some sellers coming in. It's not really heavy selling, but it's looking good. Buyers could easily take this back up. My short is from 67,650. Let me just make the bubbles a little bigger. All right, so we gotta come down here and break VWAP. Same thing here on Trading View. VWAP is that white line right there. We gotta come down and break VWAP. VWAP is at approximately 67592. Let's see if it's the same here. 675. On Bookmap, it's slightly different. 67592 would be up here, but it's a little lower at 67566. But it's still updating, so let's see how that works out. Over here on the candle chart, it's looking like we're gonna get that rejection, but we gotta start losing these levels here now. This is at plus V1. That's that red line right there going across. So we gotta start pushing down from that level now. And now I could plot yesterday's VPOC. Let me see, where is that? Where is that? Alright, so that's gonna be yesterday's VPOC. And overnight VPOC is gonna move down to this level. This over here is yesterday's VPOC. Let's find that. Alright, set an alert for that. I wanna know when we touch yesterday's VPOC, because that's an important level. Alright, so everything is set up good. So the overnight low right now would be, oh wait, I'm moving yesterday's VPOC. Overnight VPOC, hold on. Put this right back here. Overnight low. Let's see. Right, sometimes I gotta reset this to get some of these levels to replot. Right, so that's the mid right there. Right, that yellow line right there. So it's looking like buyers coming in here at overnight VPOC. Right, so we're getting buyers at VPOC. And just to break above this structure here would be breaking above V2 plus V2. So I could easily just stop out if we break above plus V2, because that'll be strong buyers coming back up to take it around maybe the central pivot at 67,984.28. All right, so we getting some aggressive buyers here. Indicators still updating for Vwap. I don't know why it's taking so long. Right, so it's looking like we're gonna break above this level here of 67,748. I don't know, man. This liquidity here might just safeguard this trade, because I don't think the buyers have enough energy to push back. All right, so we got these VWAPs plotted, and this is plus V1. This is VWAP. That's plus V1. And this is plus V2. So if we get this breakout of plus V1, because that's going to be my resistance here. So I want to see some sellers coming in. We have heavy liquidity pushing down on price. Let's see, I'm going to make the bubbles a little bigger for you guys. Right, so we have heavy liquidity pushing down. And we're still finding buyers right there. So I think they're sizing up to try and test this liquidity up here at 67,801 or 67,800. We gotta see sellers really come in here and push price down back to Vwap and break it, and break down Vwap. You can see that was my entry right here at 67,650. So we're breaking above plus V1 right now. Right, so I can flatten my trade right now. I don't have to wait to get stopped up. Right, so we're breaking above plus V1, and we're probably going to head to plus V2. Try and get through this heavy liquidity right there. Just adjust these bubbles back down. All right, y'all. So that was my little live trading, my first trade that was successful. The second trade, this wasn't successful. Stopped out on that because we're breaking above plus V1, right? Probably gonna get to this liquidity where my stop was just above it. So let's see if they do get through it. All right, still not much sellers. No aggressive selling at this area here, so buyers just need to be primed enough, have enough energy to push through this level right now. So buyers have to come in. No real sellers coming in yet. All right, now we're seeing some sellers. Nothing in comparison to what we had on the buy side. We have some flashes here of liquidity on the bid, trying to support price. And that's how we had the buyers come through there. Nice big buying, aggressive buyers. They even shot through V2 and now heading up to V3. So if we look here on TradingView, we're coming back up here to the central pivot range, and we have +3 Vwap up there as well. So is this buying pressure gonna survive through this CPR, central pivot range, or is it gonna start feeling like it's looking like it's failing right now? But there is a lot of buyers who came in here, so taking a short here would be a little risky. Buyers could still be in the mix, pushing, trying to push above. This will be V2 plus V2, and they look like they have enough energy to do that. All right, y'all. So it's Malak Shalomo. That was my little trade, my little live trading on Bitcoin, and a little technical analysis, show how I look at Bookmap and stuff like that. All right, y'all. Trade safe and stay blessed.